What do you idol worship? It's an interesting question because when we think about idol worship, we often think about the image in Exodus chapter 32 of the golden calf, which all of Israel start bowing down and worshipping. And obviously we see, oh, well, that's clearly idol worship. I would never do anything like that. But the truth is, we all do things like these in our everyday life. What do we put above God? And we're going to find out in this episode of Biblical Unlocks. This show is designed to help build your habit of reading the Bible, understanding the Bible, and applying it in your daily life, as studies routinely show that those who read their Bible regularly significantly lower symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress, whilst also increasing compassion, forgiveness, and a sense of purpose. So if you enjoy episodes like this, please consider following rating the show. It's free, helps me out a lot, and you can always change your mind later. And in Exodus 32, we see the most clear example of idol worship, a catastrophic failure at Sinai, where Israel manufacture a golden calf to worship whilst Moses is up on Mount Sinai with God, because as the people grow impatient, they pressure Aaron into making an idol, and they worship it as the God who brought them out of Egypt. And obviously God's wrath burns against Israel, and Moses has to intercede on their behalf. So, we're going to go through all of this in this episode. So, I'm going to read the all 35 verses of Exodus 32, and then afterwards we're going to go through some deep biblical unlocks, so stick around for that. Let's go through verses 1 to 6. When the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain, the people gathered around Aaron and said to him, "Come, make gods for us, lowercase g, who shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him." Aaron said to them, "Take off the gold rings that are on the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me." So all the people took off the gold rings from their ears and brought them to Aaron. He took these from them, formed them in a mold, and cast an image of a calf. And they said, "These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt." When Aaron saw this, he built an altar before it, and Aaron made a proclamation and said, "Tomorrow shall be a festival to the Lord." They rose early the next day and offered burnt offerings and brought sacrifices of well-being, and the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to revel. The Lord said to Moses, "Go down at once. Your people whom you brought up out of the land of Egypt have acted perversely. They have been quick to turn aside from the way that I commanded them. They have cast for themselves an image of a calf and have worshipped it and sacrificed to it and said, 'These are your gods, O Israel, who brought you up out of the land of Egypt.' The Lord said to Moses, 'I have seen this people, how stiff-necked they are. Now let me alone, so that my wrath may burn hot against them, and I may consume them, and of you I will make a great nation.' But Moses implored the Lord his God and said, 'O Lord, why does your wrath burn hot against your people whom you brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians say it was with evil intent that he brought them out to kill them in the mountains and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce wrath, change your mind, and do not bring disaster on your people." Verse 13, "Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, how you swore to them by your own self, saying, 'I will multiply your descendants like the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have promised I will give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever.'" Verse 14, "And the Lord changed his mind about the disaster that he planned to bring on his people. Then Moses turned and went down from the mountain, carrying the 2 tablets of the covenant in his hands, tablets that were written on both sides, written on the front and on the back. The tablets were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God, engraved upon the tablets. When Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said to Moses, "There is a noise of war in the camp." But he said, "It is not the sound made by victors, or the sound made by losers. It is the sound of singing that I hear." Verse 19, As soon as he came near the camp and saw the calf and the dancing, Moses' anger burned hot, and he threw the tablets from his hand and broke them at the foot of the mountain. He took the calf they had made, burnt it with fire, ground it to a powder, scattered it on the water, and made the Israelites drink it. Moses said to Aaron, "What did this people do to you, that you have brought so great a sin upon them?" And Aaron said, "Do not let the anger of my Lord burn hot. You know the people, that they are wicked, and that they said to me, 'Make gods for us. Who shall go before us? As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him.' So I said to them, 'Whosoever has gold, take it off.' So they gave it to me, and I threw it into the fire, and out came this calf." When Moses saw that the people were out of control, for Aaron had lost control of them, prompting derision among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, "Who is on the Lord's side? Come to me." And all the sons of Levi gathered around him. He said to them, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, put your sword on your side, each of you. Go back and forth from gate to gate throughout the camp, and each of you kill your brother, your friend, and your neighbor." The sons of Levi did as Moses commanded, and about 3,000 of the people fell on that day. Moses said, "Today you have been ordained for the service of the Lord, each one at the cost of a son or a brother, and so you have brought a blessing on yourselves this day." On the next day Moses said to the people, "You have sinned a great sin, but now I will go up to the Lord. Perhaps I can make atonement for your sin." So Moses returned to the Lord and said, "Alas, this people has sinned a great sin. They have made for themselves gods of gold. But now, if you will only forgive their sin, but if not, please blot me out of the book that you have written." But the Lord said to Moses, "Whoever has sinned against me, I will blot out of my book. But now go, lead the people to the place about which I have spoken to you. See, my angel shall go in front of you. Nevertheless, when the day for punishment comes, I will punish them for their sin." Verse 35, "Then the Lord sent a plague upon the people, because they made the calf, the one that Aaron had made." That was a very intense story, as you could imagine, but now it's time for some deep biblical unlocks. From verses 1 to 6, what did we see? We saw the golden calf, and we saw that the people became impatient, and because they were impatient, that actually led to idolatry. Aaron collects gold from the people and fashions a calf and declares it the God who brought them out of Egypt. A feast follows, included revelry, and we also saw sexual immorality, which is implied in verse 25. When Moses saw that the people were out of control, for Aaron had lost control of them, prompting derision among their enemies. You saw that. So that was interesting, what we saw. And this mirrors the Egyptian bull worship of the god Apis and directly violates the first two commandments. What are the first two commandments? The first one, you shall have no other gods before me. This is in Exodus chapter 20, verses 3 to 6. And then in verse 4 it says, "You shall not make for me yourself an idol, whether in the form of anything that is in heaven above, or that is on the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the third and fourth generation of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments." So those are the first two commandments, completely rejected. But in this case, the people don't actually reject Yahweh outright. They just change him. They redefine him. And what we see here is idolatry often begins with impatience with God's plan and then ends with the celebration of sin. What you've got to understand is these people, they think, where is Moses gone? He's not here anymore. Why? Where are they? Where is he? So you start to question. When you start to question, then you start to realize maybe God isn't really working. Maybe God's forgotten us. Why would he leave us alone? And when you start to question God's plan, then you start to think to yourself, I think we need to find our meaning in something else, something perishable. And this is actually what Augustine said. He said that, or maybe not Augustine, I think it's Saint Thomas Aquinas, one of them. I think he said that sin begins from worshipping the creation more than the creator, right? So this is probably what's happening here, I think. And here we see in 1 Corinthians 10:7, Paul writes about this. It says, "Do not become idolaters, as some of them did, as it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and they rose up to play." And then again in Psalm 106:19-20, they made a calf at Horeb and worshipped a cast image. They exchanged the glory of God for the image of an ox that eats grass. So not only is it like it's completely it's the impatient leads to the celebration of sin. They redefine God because they are unhappy with the pace at which things are going. In verse 7-14, God tells Moses the people are corrupt, and he offers to destroy them and start over with Moses. But Moses intercedes by appealing to God's reputation among the nation, his promise to Abraham, his redemptive purpose, and God relents from immediate destruction. Intercession is not manipulation. It is aligning with God's stated promises in a present crisis. And Moses here acts as a mediator, foreshadowing Christ. Because, as we see in some more biblical unlocks, as we'll read later on in Deuteronomy 9:16-21, "Then I saw that you had indeed sinned against the Lord your God by casting for yourselves an image. You had been so quick to turn from the way that the Lord had commanded you. So I took hold of the 2 tablets and flung them from my 2 hands, smashing them before your eyes. Then I lay prostrate before the Lord. As before, 40 days and 40 nights I neither ate bread nor drank water because of all the sin that you had committed, provoking the Lord by doing what was evil in his sight. For I was afraid that the anger that the Lord bore against you was so fierce that he would destroy you. But the Lord listened to me that time also. The Lord was so angry with Aaron that he was ready to destroy him, but I interceded also on behalf of Aaron at that same time. Then I took the sinful thing that you had made, the calf, and burnt it with fire and crushed it, grinding it thoroughly until it was reduced to dust, and I threw the dust into the stream that runs down the mountain." We see in Proverbs chapter 28 verse 13 that no one who conceals transgressions will prosper, but the one who forsakes them will obtain mercy. So there's a lot of things to understand here, a lot of things that we need to keep in mind as we continue along. In verses 15-24, Moses descends, he sees the sin and shatters the tablets, symbolizing again the broken covenant. Why did he smash the 2 tablets? The tablets contained the covenantal promise that God had given, and he destroys it because the covenant was shattered through the celebration of sin. He destroys the calf, he grinds it into a powder, scatters it on the water, and makes the people drink it, forcing them to confront the emptiness of their idol. And Aaron's excuse, did you hear it? "Oh, it just came out. I just collected all the gold and the calf just came out." It reveals cowardice and his refusal to take responsibility. In verse 25-29, the Levites rally to Moses and they carry out judgment. They kill about 3,000 men. And the act there sets apart the Levite for priestly service because they choose loyalty to God over family ties. Holiness sometimes demands painful obedience. And in this case, the judgment preserves the covenant community from total collapse. Why would God command them to kill each other? Because they broke the covenant, and justice must have been served in some way or another. God is just, but also God is loving. And sometimes the only way to preserve that covenant continuity from complete collapse is to execute his judgment. One of the harshest verses out of the mouth of Jesus Christ was in Luke chapter 14 verse 26, where he said, "Whoever comes to me and does not hate father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, and even life itself, cannot be my disciple." And then in Hebrews chapter 12 verse 6, it says, "For the Lord disciplines those whom he loves and chastises every child whom he accepts." Sometimes when you have sinned against the Lord, what you need is immense suffering, is immense punishment. Moses actually offers to be blotted out of God's book, but he doesn't allow it. God forgives, but actually foreshadows Jesus Christ. So that's it for this episode of Biblical Unlocks. This show is designed to help you keep up your habit of reading the Bible, understanding the Bible, and applying it in your daily life. I upload daily, so if you don't want to miss tomorrow's episode, feel free to rate the show and follow. Otherwise, just have a blessed day. And always remember, if you're not in your word, you're in your feelings. Godspeed.